Hello, hello
Hey.
world. How is everyone on this beautiful Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? It is. It is Tuesday. Hey folks, I see chat room is filling up. Here's a familiar name. Hey there. Hey Eva. She's our social media queen that runs everything for us. She makes hippos look cool. Hippos and dinosaurs, and I am definitely a hippo today. I'm an old man, but hey, I'm your host today. I'm Sam Basu. Hey folks, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. And with me, I have my good friend, Mihail. How are you?
Hey, I'm really good, Sam. Thanks for asking.
Eva is saying hippos and dinosaurs are cool. I don't know. Hippos have a lot of demo failures like I do. We shall see. But because of the magic of technology, we have Sam and Misha on the same screen while we are on two very different corners of the world. I'm in Northwest Pennsylvania in the US, and Misha is in beautiful Sofia, Bulgaria. Looks like you're in the office, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm currently in the office. Actually, this is my first day where I'm back in the office.
Very cool. Yeah, it looks like it's still light out there. What time is it? Is it like 6? No, 7.
8:30.
8:30, I
Yeah.
should look. Yeah, 7 hours plus. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I hope you've had some dinner, and sorry to eat into your late evening, but glad you can join us here. So, folks, what we're doing here is a slightly different type of a stream here. Thankfully, you're not watching me code as much today, because that is just a train wreck waiting to happen, as it happens every week. But it's release week, so we are covering all the cool things that we do as a part of, or that we did as a part of our R2 release across the whole Telerik and Kenda UI family. You had a stream earlier in the morning where we talked about Angular and React, and this is the stream where we talk about all things productivity. And we talk about all the UI components all the time, which is the Telerik and Kenda UI, but for enterprise workflows, productivity and all of the rest of the stuff that we're talking about is so important. Things like reporting, things like TestStudio, and mocking and unit testing, all of that is so important. And Fiddler, we'll talk about Fiddler as well. So I am delighted to have a few of my good friends join us from the engineering, from our sales engineering and engineering orgs to kind of show us through some of the new stuff that we have had. So Misho, do we start with JustMock?
Yeah.
So let's bring up your desktop. Right up. You are up. So R2 2021, before you go into what's new, can you give us a high level, like what is JustMock?
Well, JustMock is a mocking framework that helps you organize, helps you to create and organize the life cycle of your mock objects in an easy way. And yeah, it's a productivity tool that helps you write unit tests a lot faster.
Well said, well said. All right, so, and this has been around for quite some time, right?
Yeah, probably around 10 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That's a lot. And we have already implemented a lot of features through the years. And I think we are quite stable product. And we are incrementally adding features and stuff that we want to help with which we want to help our clients to be even more productive.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's new in R2?
Well, a lot of things, actually, very, very interesting things. Our previous release, R1, we introduced configuration with which you can filter which DLLs you actually can mock and you can instrument. And this was a purely performance feature that all of our clients can use. And with this release, we continue to focus on the performance improvement. And what we have done now is to optimize the process of instrumenting a code that is required for managing the life cycles of the mocked objects. In other words, for the when the mocked object is alive, at some point it should be cleaned, and we are inserting an additional code in all of the DLLs that have unit tests to be able to do that. And we found a very interesting way of improving this process. And with that, we gained an average of 7% performance boost. So
Nice.
yeah, that's pretty nice. And yeah, that's on average. You're depending on what unit test you have and how many mock objects you have. You may receive bigger percentage as a performance boost, but if you have a bit of low usage of mock objects, you may not have such a number as a performance boost.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, and for the past several releases, I think several releases, yeah, we are developing our new debug window, which is designed to help the developer to debug any issues that it may have with his mock objects. Let's say when you arrange some method to act as a to act in a certain way, you can use, and it doesn't actually act the way you want it to. You can use our JustMock debug window to debug that and to check what's happening and where's the problem. And with this release, we added information in the mock repository tab for the arguments matchers. This is in essence the arguments with which the arrangement was made. And as you can see, there is information about what kind of a matcher type you made. Is it by a type or it is by value? What kind of an expression have you used? Is it hard-coded value or it is actual matcher that, let's say, as in the screenshot, it is any integer? What is the type of data argument, and in the end, what is the name? And you can use that in combination with the invocations to just check if your arrangement was made in a way that should match the specific invocation. And with that, it is very useful for the developer to debug any issues that it may have with their mock objects.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and what's next? Well, we've promised a few releases back that we will be always up to date with the latest versions of .NET. And we've made everything possible to make sure that we are compatible now with the latest preview of .NET 6, which is version 3. And with that, we can claim a support for that version. Yeah, we will continue to do that, and I am 100% sure that we will support .NET 6 when it is officially released.
Yeah, no, this is big because we are just talking about it. So .NET 6 has had like a couple of previews almost every month since like March or February. The preview 3 was the last one, and the next one is actually long due, but they are holding up on it because Microsoft Build conference is coming up next week, which is when they'll talk about 4 in all of the increments. But it looks like JustMock works all the way up until the latest bits. Like you can see, folks, how like cutting edge we are staying here. And I don't doubt you. The day like .NET 6 is out of preview and it's fully ready, like JustMock will be ready.
Yeah. By the way, I think that almost 10% of our clients are already using .NET 5. So
Nice.
with that, we really want to make sure that we support the official version of .NET 6 like immediately, so our clients can benefit from everything new that Microsoft provides.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And another thing that we have done is to improve the user experience of JustMock extension in Visual Studio. And one of the big improvements is for the trialists who, after their trial period expires, the enable and disable buttons were all disabled, and the client couldn't understand what's happening, and usually has to open a ticket and stuff like that. And this is why we've provided an additional button that will be shown, and when you click it, you will receive, you will open a window with information about the license and what you need to do in order if you want to purchase the product. And with that, I believe that the menu items in the extension became a lot, and we wanted to make it a bit smaller and much more, let's say, user-friendly to use. And with that, all of the buttons and windows that are somehow related to, let's say, documentation, to some kind of information about the extension and the version, were grouped in one section, as you can see, named Help. And with that, just the span of the extension became a lot smaller, and everything that is really needed for your daily work is at one click away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this will really help especially our trial clients to understand what happens with when their license expired. And I think that was the last thing we did. Also a few bug fixes, but I won't go into details. Yeah, with the next release, we will probably enhance the design a bit of the debug window, and we will try to implement support for Linux. This is one of our and it will be quite a challenge, and I hope that we will be on time for the next release.
Okay, let me put you in a fix. Maybe ask you a different question. What about Mac?
What about Mac? Well, at this point, we don't have clients that want to actually write unit tests with JustMock on Mac. And if we receive more inquiries about that, we will investigate it, and we will do our best to support it.
Because I'll tell you the reason why. I'm on a Mac, and my code always works. I don't write unit tests. That's why you
Well, I doubt that, but okay.
No, again, it's nice that we are enabling developers no matter where you are, and I will maybe create a feedback request so you can give me some Mac support. I mean, I spend like half and half. Like I'm on Windows a lot, but I'm also on Mac for Xamarin and other things. So I would like to use some of this on a Mac.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
We can create a feedback and wait for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And folks, if you are curious with what we are just talking about, so it's called feedback.telerik.com. So anything you want to see and that we are not doing yet, tell us, and we shall consider it and put it on our roadmap somewhere. Yeah, very cool. So Misha, is there anything else you wanted to show or talk?
Well, I don't know. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
No, and so maybe let's hang on. Let's bring your desktop down, and let me kind of ask you like a more of a roadmap-ish question. So with JustMock, where do you see this evolving in the next like 2 years?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and actually I'm very passionate about the direction that I want the product to be evolving. And one of the things is that we want to help the developer by automatically generating mock objects when needed, let's say on demand. And after we achieve that, we want to focus on actually analyzing the unit tests and the code of the application that the developer writes and suggest new unit tests, like automatically suggest the unit test. And I really hope that in the next a bit more than a year, we can have a prototype that we can test and show to the public.
Interesting. Yeah. And especially when you think about like mocking in terms of modern apps we write for mobile, I mean, it just takes on a whole other meaning when you have like so many services and that you're reaching out to that you just want to write unit tests for, and you just want to block things out. You don't want those services to be hit as a part of your tests. And something like mocking is just so critical for your service calls, for your database calls, really anything that your app uses services for. So yeah, this is.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. You need to test your logic in isolation from your database, because you don't want to just create the data in the database, and after executing a single test, you need to restore the initial state, and that's a slow process that you want to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Misho, I want to thank you for all the work that you do and the team does to make JustMock happen, and make developers just a little bit more productive. And as we go through releases, give them more confidence as to what type of code we are shipping. Just more code coverage, more unit tests never hurts. We make mistakes, so any type of testing we can throw in, and the more the coverage, the more it helps. So.
Absolutely, application quality is very important. So I'm happy. I'm very happy that I'm working on that product. And if any of the viewers of the viewers, if they are interested in the auto suggestion of the unit test, they can ping me LinkedIn, Twitter, or just open a ticket or open a feedback item.
Absolutely. And we shall talk more about JustMock. Tomorrow we have a webinar where we are again going over formally all of the things. This is the informal look. This is the behind the scenes look with some of the folks who are actually involved in building the products. So Misho, thank you for taking the time to just kind of hop on. You are the best man to talk to when it comes to JustMock. I know it's late. I hope you can still go have dinner with your family or anywhere else you want to go. But thank you.
Drink a beer or two.
Yeah, drink a beer. Absolutely. Why not? So thank you, Misha, for stopping by. And let me see if I can bring on our next friend who's waiting in the back room. Hey, Rick.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So, Misha, we will let you go and go enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, bye. We shall talk to you soon.
Bye.
Rick, my man, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Sam?
Not too bad. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Rick Hellwege. No, I keep messing up your last name. Hellwege. Now, how do you say it?
You got it. Hellwege.
Hellwege. Okay. Yeah, so Rick is my man because I send him requests at the very last minute. Like, can you just jump onto this for me? And he's always like, yes, yes. Hidden. I don't know if Rick is our hidden talent. He's been on for so long and rocking things. Yeah. So no, sorry, Rick. What are you saying?
I haven't messed up yet, so you keep having me.
Rick was one of the judges for an app that we were doing for, what was it? I forget. Oh, the Halloween type themed thing. That
Valentine's Day, wasn't it?
Valentine's Day, yes. Valentine's Day, Halloween, it's just like all so close, right? But yeah. Love Connection, yes. Thank you. That's Raptame, that's Cindy, and Ivana, who keep our social channels going. And I'm just noticing, like, our stream actually says productivity tools with Sam and Ed. Ed is nowhere to be found. We don't want Ed here. That's fine. Ed and me just did a webinar, but this is all the other stuff, reporting and testing that is so important. So we just heard about JustMock, which I'm so glad Misha was able to join us because that's a little hardcore. some of the things
Yeah.
that they're pulling off behind the scenes. I'm a little more simple type of man. I like my UI and I like my reporting. I fiddle with reporting, but I know you are the man when it comes to reporting. So, yes, Ivan is like scratching your head.
You give me too much credit, Sam.
All right. Yeah, Ed is gone, looks like, from the menu. Nothing like changing things on the fly while we're going on a stream. But, all right, Rick, you want to talk reporting? You're always the man when it comes to reporting.
Well, I'll try to do that honor justice. Kind of building me up a lot here, Sam. Telerik Reporting, yeah. Should we start with an overview then for
Yes, please,
anyone
yeah.
who's not familiar? Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Button. Who has the button? Let's see. Share screen.
And Rick and me are in the same time zones, so it's mid-afternoon for both of us. If we fall asleep, we are just getting old.
Okay. Does that look okay on your side, Sam?
Yeah. Yep. I see it. There you go.
It's kind of strobing for me, but as long as it's not for doing that for everyone else, though.
It is doing it for us.
Maybe a little scrolling will help.
Yeah. Go ahead and hit the little hide button.
There we go. There we go.
Now it's good. Just like wake up, you folks! It's the middle of the afternoon.
sorry about that.
Yeah, that was quite a wake up. Like Rick, before you start, go ahead and hit the little hide button at the bottom. It always stays on.
Hide button, which
like the one that says sharing your screen. Yep,
I see.
that one. Yes.
It was white on white.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Reporting.
Telerik Reporting. So Telerik Reporting is our UI agnostic .NET centric reporting framework and SDK. I did not rehearse that at all.
That's a mouthful. So you're able to just rattle that off. That's a long sentence. There's a lot of things in it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the reporting engine is, of course, built for the .NET Framework and .NET Core, .NET 5, .NET 6, all the .NETs. And we have a plethora of front-end report viewers, currently 9 in total. 3 platform viewers, WPF, WinForms, and Silverlight, and 6 web-based report viewers, including HTML5, WebForms, MVC, Core, Blazor, Angular, and WebForms Classic, if anyone's really doing that still.
It keeps you productive, whatever floats your boat, right?
But if you want to do it, we have you covered. So I have
I was going to say, like, that's where the platform agnostic part comes in. Like, the report generation, the engine is the core that does most of the work, but we don't care how you render it or where you show it.
Exactly. The rendering engine is actually totally headless, so you can do it on-prem, you can do it in the cloud, you can do it in Docker. Yeah, anything that has pretty much any version of .NET north of 3.5 will be able to successfully render any of our reports. So it's a very great framework for embedding in existing applications, and it's even better for embedding in new applications, which is one of the things I'll show today. Which, speaking of, I have so much stuff to show that this is going to be my only slide, and then we're going to get right into demos. This is sort of the overall architecture of reporting, just a little bit of flavor of it. How the processing engine is separate from the report designers. Oh, I didn't mention the report designers. I'm sorry. We have 3 distinct report designers. One for the hardcore developers built into Visual Studio. One for the sort of business users, which is a compiled application that they can run on their system. And we have a lightweight, well, it's not too lightweight anymore. We have a full-featured web designer, which is really accessible for anybody. It can be built directly into your application. So that's probably the easiest to deploy. And we'll take a look at that in a minute.
I have used the Visual Studio Designer, but I tend to, like, if you give me the option, like, I tend to use the standalone one because it's just so nice and simple and easy.
Mm-hmm. That honestly, that is my go-to as well, the standalone designer. It also creates a different type of report format. It saves the report as an XML file, whereas the Visual Studio Designer saves it as a class library. So what that means is if you have it as an XML file and you make a change down the line, you don't have to rebuild your application or substitute a compiled library to change out a report. It's just copying a file, replacing a file in a directory somewhere. It makes the whole life cycle much easier. But there are a few circumstances where you do need to have your report in a class library with direct access to the strongly typed code. So we offer that, for sort of the edge cases is where we see that used most often.
Yeah, well said. And the web designers, like you mentioned, like that's been like catching up quickly. Like I want to say, like it's almost like feature parity with the desktop ones.
We are getting there. We're getting there. The problem, the challenge was for the standalone report designer. We leveraged a lot of the WPF design surface when we built it, and we got a whole bunch of toys right out of the box to play with. We didn't get those on the web, so we kind of had to build everything from scratch. And credit to the engineers, they did so much in so little time, and it's very, very close now. Still a couple wants on my list, but it is fully usable. Which well, let's jump in and use it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I think at the top of my list for what's new, let me go to this page here. Here we go, Visual Studio. Is this code legible, Sam?
No, it's a little too small. So
let me
bump
try
up your fonts a little bit. Yeah.
How's 150? Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so everything I'm going to do, I'm going to show my work. Never trust an engineer and show his code. So first thing we're going to talk about is we have a brand new Blazor component for the Web Report Designer. I'll say that one more time. So for the Web Report Designer that we just talked about, we have it built as a Blazor component. So you can easily drop it into either your Blazor WebAssembly or Blazor server solutions. I built both last night just to prove that statement works correctly.
Nice. And Rick, before you go on, Ivana is asking for one little bit more bump on your font size.
One more? Okay. Let's see. I can go to maybe 200.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Some of it's going to go off the side of the screen here, but
that's fine.
Okay. So we have a Web Report Designer Blazor component. So to use this is so incredibly simple. All you do is bring in the NuGet package from the Telerik repository. You add a using statement for it, and then you just use the component syntax for Blazor, which you can just copy and paste from our documentation. And this is really these 5 lines of code here is the entire implementation of the immensely complex Web Report Designer on this page. So it's almost drag and drop.
Yeah, and let's kind of also like take a breath as to what is happening here when you do that. Like 5 lines of code, like you said, but what it is enabling is the entire design surface.
Exactly. And we're going to run that in a second and show what you're getting with these 5 lines of code and this very compact markup here. So we had a component for the ReportViewer, which I have on another page here. Looks very similar, ReportViewers instead of Report Designer. But we've done it for the designer as well. And while it wasn't insurmountably complex to do before, I mean, we had step-by-step documentation, but it was still a couple dozen lines of code or so that you had to put in, mostly copy and paste. But this is much nicer, in my opinion. So everything here is also strongly typed because it's a component. So you get IntelliSense and all of that pass through. You get nice little descriptions of what everything does. So I think we can probably go ahead and run it because everything else.
So, before you do, just to kind of wrap my brains around what is being done here. So you have a report that has been maybe you have started it, and you want to let your web app users have access to be able to edit the design of the report, and you're trying to do that within your Blazor app. So would you need to expose the RESTful service to the reporting engine?
Yes, there are services involved in this. So we have a report design controller here, and for any of these things, we have the full source code implementation in our documentation. It's really you just go and you copy and paste. Because these are front end applications, they are making RESTful calls to the services, to receive their whatever they need, whether it be the backend CSS or the JavaScript interrupt for Blazor. So they make calls to these services here. But again, these are not immensely complex. Most of the work is being done in the NuGet package. And all you're doing is adding, the Web API declaration and some inherited controllers. And it is copy and paste from our documentation, step by step. This whole application, the first time you do it, it's going to take maybe 15 minutes to set up. And that's only in Blazor, where we haven't fully streamlined it. So I'll show something for .NET Core later.
One quick question here, Rick. Like, where are you doing this? Like, is this the Blazor client-side project, or you have the RESTful service on the server side, right?
Yes. So for this is a WebAssembly project. So we end up with, actually, it's a hosted WebAssembly project. Yes, so it gives you both the ASP.NET server piece and the front-end WebAssembly. There's no strict requirement that you have, an ASP backend to your front-end WebAssembly project. But for this type of application, that's how you set it up. So. Yeah, on the server component, the backend, you have the RESTful services, the reports controller, which is what's used by the report viewer. It actually serves the reports to the viewer and renders the reports in their final form. And you also have a report design controller, which serves the reports in a format suitable for the report designer. And a lot of this is done sort of a black box. It's really just the declaration of the controller, and all the magic happens in the packages. On the front end, you have the single package that we talked about for the report designer and viewers. So those are, Telerik.WebReportDesigner.Blazor and Telerik.ReportViewer.Blazor, both in the Telerik NuGet package feed. So you just include those in the front end component of your application, front end project, and then you can reference everything from there using those simple using statements that I showed and the Blazor component syntax. So really is quite simple. I mean, it sounds more complex than it is.
No, and the best thing is this is all so nicely documented. Like, we even have a thing where, like, we walk you through how if you have never used a Telerik NuGet, like how to kind of access that server. It's all hosted, so you need to sign in once and then you have it.
Yes, and these packages are on the Telerik NuGet feed because they are commercial libraries, so we don't have them hosted on sort of public NuGet. But very simple to set that up, and that's luckily you do it once and then you forget it forever after that.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I'm eager to jump into this code though. I want to show off a lot of these new features, so let me run the application.
I'm going to try to pull up our docs, just the thing that you referenced real quick if I can.
Sure.
And post that.
Okay, so anyone who was with us in R1 will remember that I built a what was it? A Chuck Norris joke stream.
I remember.
Yeah. Well, I copied that R1 report into the R2 folder in this application, opened it in the designer, and saved it again. And that was all you had to do. All I had to do to upgrade it to the R2 version of Telerik Reporting, and this really worked completely seamlessly. So
nice.
that simple stub that we saw before, the 5 lines of code, is implementing this entire report designer in here. So what this does is it gives you sort of all of the controls here on the side and all of the properties here on the right. You have the preview of the report, the parameter section, and luckily the web service I used for this was still online, and this just worked completely seamlessly. Pleasant surprise as soon as I added it to the project and upgraded it one version. So we still have this as sort of a starting point, but what I wanted to do was create a new report.
I thought you would stop here and just like read Chuck Norris jokes for the rest of the session. We could do that.
I have a long list of features to get through. The reporting team will come after me if I don't get to at least half of them. So I thought we would create a new report using the web-based report designer, just to show some of the new features that we've introduced, and sort of how approachable it is now to create a report from scratch, file new, directly in the web. So I'm just going to go to Menu, New, and it's going to ask me to create a report by name, and we're going to create a report that I've been making for a while called the DuckStooge report. This is just a simple little kind of proof of concept report. So one of the new things we added, and this was a big ask that a lot of people had, was drag and drop from the component section and from the Explorer section into the body. So before you had to click here and set a position. Now you can just grab the item you want, like in my case, a CSV data source, and drag it into your report, and that's going to add it to the report body, automatically. And that's going to be.
And this is not easy to do on the web.
Not at all. In fact, I think we had to invent the drag and drop the drag and drop library ourselves for Blazor, because that, as far as I know, still not well supported by Microsoft, drag and drop in Blazor. So we kind of created that that library ourselves to use in our own components, and that's what it sort of enabled all of this. So this lets you upload a CSV file, or select from an existing one, or just paste in inline CSV. So I'm going to have this CSV file that I prepared uploaded. You select next, and you can then either copy it into the application or just embed the code directly. I'm going to embed it because it's only a few lines. We're going to go next again. You just tell it that it has headers, and the rest of these are all default. And setting the type of one of the columns to an integer instead of a string. And that's basically it for adding a report source to this report. So this is.
Rick, can I ask you something, like, just for clarity? Like, you created a brand new report from scratch in the Blazor Designer. Where is this file being saved?
We're going to show you that in a minute, Sam.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is just take that data that we created, and this is the second cool feature of the report. First, let me go ahead and save this to save that data source. And there's the report again. So let's see. And there it is. There's the
nice.
save.
It shows up right there.
There we go. Yeah. And here are the fields that were in that data source. So yeah, it does show up right here. It finds that association automatically for all the reports that are in your repository. And here are the fields I added. So this is a key feature. So you can just take a field from your data source and drag it into the report body. When you drop it, it's going to automatically create a text box. It's going to bind that text box to the backend data, and it's going to populate it with the expression that associates that field with the data source. And we'll just drop that down a little bit. And let's, I did say that you can just drag in a component. So let's show them on a liar. And this is the, there we go.
Yeah, while you're timing that thing that you did where you're dragging the fields and it's binding it already, that is precious time being saved.
Yes, it's major, and you know that the expression is done correctly too. It's not that it's a huge amount of time, but we're talking maybe 4 clicks in 5 seconds per field. When you're dragging in 25 fields and 25 reports, that's half your day. Okay, and we'll just very quickly, make this look a little bit better. There we go. Maybe center a bit. Okay. That's as OCD as I'll get. So we can preview this now, and we should have a fully functional report. This is my stooge duck report. So we have 3 ducks and 3 stooges from popular culture. We can go back to the design, and the reason why I create this and why I created it originally was to show off the grouping feature of reporting. So we can do that as well too. So in the, let's see. Where did it go?
And while you're clicking around, like, we should have had Ed here, because like the whole modern web, and this just doesn't stop to amuse me. Like these menus and the color palettes that you're presenting, like this is all in the web. This is all like rendered for you on the fly. I think it's using like some of the Kenda UI things we have for some of the controls and the drop downs, but this is so beautiful.
It uses some of our, some of our own logic internally. So what I'm doing here is just adding a grouping expression by type, which is I have two types, the stooges and the ducks. I'm going to hit save. That adds a group header, group footer, and some implicit grouping behind the scenes. So let's just take our type category and we'll put it into the group header here. And since we're not using the footer, let's go to the appearance section, style, and we'll just uncheck visible because we don't need to see that in the final product. Okay, so moving this over here and preview again, and we end up with a grouped report of, well, that doesn't look that great. Let's see, what did I do? Type, name.
It looks like the grouping is working like twice, or it's counting everyone.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. That's interesting. It didn't do that when okay, so there's my first mistake. I'm not invited back. when I proved this before, it wasn't doing that behavior. Just doing it live, I probably misconfigured something.
How about this? Like, I have installed Visual Studio live on stream. Like, that's how bad my stuff gets messed up. So you're good.
So so it's going to group by the type here, and it looks like it's just adding the let's see, that's the header. Yeah, I guess that looks correct. So you have.
I mean, it is grouping and it's showing you the count as every time it finds a duck. Yeah.
So it does group by these items. So you can do it. So you can add grouping that way. And so you asked a moment ago about where did these files go? Mm-hmm. So let's open. Well, it's already open, but let's bring over the reports folder from the application.
Look at that.
Yeah. You can see that everything that I've been working on is getting saved to one of our report formats. And here's something that's really cool. So let's just take this report that we were just working on, the Duck Stooge report, double click it, and the TRDP extension is associated with my platform version of the Report Designer. So that's just going to go ahead and open that exact same report in the Report Designer here, so we can take a look at that. Oh, I see what we're wrong here. I don't know why, but the expression didn't save. So this is, we are almost at feature parity, but this is one thing that's a little easier to see here in the Standalone Designer. So this is a use case for why you might want to open something in Standalone Designer for a little bit more debugging. I could see easily in the Grouping Explorer that the grouping expression didn't persist.
So now, you can do a preview here. Yeah,
there we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now this gives me an advantage here. So this is we're pivoting. So when I previewed, it automatically saved. So let's go ahead and minimize this.
You think Blazor is going to pick up?
We're going to go back to here. Let's go to the ReportViewer tab now, just because I haven't shown this one yet. And what did I call that foolish report? Was it Duck Stooge? Refresh report.
There, nice.
There we go. There you go.
But I mean, let's just take a step back and realize like what we are enabling here. So you are giving your users. Oh, and by the way, Rick, Sarah Fatz is on, and she's saying you're always welcome.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
The things that she and the Twitch world has seen me and Ed fail on, like this is nothing. You should see my half the time my iOS simulators don't come up. Like you roll with the punches. But you are enabling your users of your Blazor web app to be able to design and create brand new reports that get saved back on file on whichever server that you're running this app out of, and then you get to open it up on your standalone designer and just be able to look at it.
Exactly. Make any changes you want, save it here, and they persist right back to that same network. So, I mean, the integration combinations here are really almost endless. We haven't even talked about what you could do if you start including like Microsoft Identity Framework to add some rules around who can do what. You can really build some very, very powerful enterprise level applications, with these tools.
Absolutely. This is exciting. Cool. So this was
Okay.
the biggest thing in R2, or there's more, right?
Oh, there's so much more. I'm trying to keep an eye on the time too. So
Yeah.
the Blazor component report designer, that was the number one. Number two was the enhancement to the web-based report designer, which we just looked at some of, the drag and drop components and the drag from Explorer. Those are the two major H1 offerings. Sort of came out. But there are some other really cool ones, which I'm going to try and show quickly. So one that we have is export options. So let me just build a little framework around this. So in the last version, going backwards, we always had the ability to limit rendering extensions. So if we go to preview here, we can see that we have the full suite of rendering extensions available for this report, from PDF down to XPS and everything in between. It would often be the case that you would want to only offer a couple different options to your users, maybe PDF, Excel, and Word, and hide all the others. That was always possible, but that was always done on a global scope. You would adjust a configuration file on the service, and that would tell the report viewer, when it used the REST service to get its configuration, that only PDF, Excel, and Word were available for the user. And then this menu and in the menus in the report viewers get generated dynamically, from that information. But what if you have a specific report that you want to be exportable by CSV, but only that report? Or you have a report that you want only to be exportable to PDF, but leave the other ones alone. So what we've added in this version is a runtime settings collection to a report, which enables you to, on a per report basis, control a lot of the export and configuration options instead of having to control those globally. And this also exposes this collection editor to your report writers instead of making that a task solely on the application developers. So this definitely frees up a lot of developer time, makes a lot of things very approachable. So still using my my Stooge Duck report, I'm going to go in and we're just going to do PDF here. And so that gives you PDF, and that's all you have to do to set the setting. And now we're going to go to visible equals false and hit OK. And I'll remember to save this time, I promise. Now, that setting is respected everywhere. So we come into the preview of the report designer. It's not even going to show you in there that it can be exported to PDF. Now, we can go back into our application and go to the viewer, and it was Stooge, I believe.
My reporting demos are nowhere as cool as yours. Like, I don't have Chuck Norris or Doug Stooge.
So you can see here, actually, let me copy this to my clipboard. I'm going to have to type that a few more times. It's not in here either. And same thing if we go to the report designer in the web, and this one's a little easier to get to because we have a little shortcut, and go to preview here. It's also not available in here. But no one wants to hide PDFs, right? PDFs are awesome. Everyone loves PDFs. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to our collection here. We're going to make visible true, and we're going to re-enable our awesome PDF. And just to combine two features in one, let's go to our parameter collection and we'll add an extra parameter. So one thing you can do here is I can add a parameter for document author.
This is pretty powerful workflow, because what you're doing is perhaps like you were saying with like identity and authorization, you're letting the users do the reporting designing stuff, and then you can come in the back and do all of these configuration stuffs and enable new things on the fly.
Absolutely, it really is quite powerful for both allowing the sort of the middle tier users, your business users, and your end users to take on a lot of the responsibilities that would normally be solely within a developer's purview. That frees up so much developer time, which is usually the most expensive hours that a company has.
Indeed.
So let's see, I think I saved that. So let's go back to our application and we'll go to the report viewer, and I copied it. So now when we go to export here, we have the awesome
Yes.
PDF option. So we're going to export that. which is going to save,
Nice.
and I will open this in. Oh, boo! It opens in the browser. So let me.
No, I mean, it's PDF. Yeah, the browser
Yeah.
can open it up. Yeah.
I need to change that default. Let me just grab that from my quick access here, and let's see. I need it to open in Adobe. Okay, so now we have that same PDF, but if I right-click, go to Document Properties, you can see that it pre-populated the author property for me based on that parameter. And you can do this for any of the supported rendering extension properties. So those will vary depending on the extension. You know, PDF has its defined property collection. Word, Excel have their defined property collections. But any of those properties that are available in the underlying rendering format, you can set a property for it in the front end viewer. That's immensely powerful because when you consider that a lot of those properties also control the style of rendering and not just things like the document author, that exposes so much extra configurability. Is that a word? Oh, it is now. To your report authors. Okay.
Yeah, this is impressive.
How are we doing on time?
Well, I mean, we can run a little over, but I know
okay.
Our next presenter is also waiting in the back room, and I know you can talk about reporting all day here, but I know the one other big thing was the Swiss QR code.
Yes, that's my next one.
Right.
I pre-built this. I'm going to admit I had no idea what a Swiss QR code was 48 hours ago.
So this is powerful.
Swiss QR codes are something very specific. It's a QR code that is, from my understanding, which if I'm wrong, don't blame me. I didn't know about it 48 hours ago. It is entirely designed around e-commerce. So this QR code is designed to basically be like that code on the bottom of a receipt you get at a restaurant for contactless payment. Actually, I just used one of these a couple of days ago. Didn't even know that it was a Swiss QR code. You scan this code and it takes you to a payment app, and it has in this your entire order encoded.
Everything. So it is great for issuing invoices as well as payment information. So it has everything built in, so you can hand it off and then somebody could pay you because it has whatever you want to encode in it. It's got all of it built in. And this is getting big in terms of standardization. So it's big in Switzerland and in Liechtenstein, which is our favorite little country, sandwiched in between Germany and Austria.
You explained that so much better than I could, Sam. Thank you very much. So yes, what I did find is this in the encoder section. We have the build data here, which seems to be a unique model for the Swiss QR code. And it's in here that you would bind all of the various data that would go into this. I'll assume that if you're using a Swiss QR code, you know what all these fields should be. But they're all bindable in here, so you can really build and populate this, as needed. So that's fully supported as well now, and I think we did this across a ton of libraries too, not just reporting.
No, everything.
Let's see.
And since you build cool demos here, Rick, you touch something once and it's so cool, it's yours forever. So anything reporting, you know what's coming. So Ivana is saying we're building cake and songs into reporting, and we have to have you on for any time we speak reporting.
If they build cake into reporting, then I'll be number one in line. Okay, awesome. There were one more thing I wanted to show, and then I have a bit of a secret to announce. So let me show that first thing. For this, I'm going to just open a brand new Visual Studio instance. Again, we're doing this live, no net. I'm going to spin up a new project, and it's going to be a standard ASP.NET Core project based on .NET 5. So next and 5.0 current, create. Okay, so while this is spinning, one thing we added in this release, which I'm very excited about, is we added some helpers to the new item menu in Visual Studio Templates. And of course, it opens on my other monitor. No, I don't want to give feedback now.
Come on, you surely don't.
Timing. We added a new item into the item new item templates to make setting up in a .NET Core solution so seamless and painless that I would venture to say that anybody can build a fully configured reporting application now. So, okay, we're done spinning. Everything is loaded. Okay, no delays. So you go ahead and time me, Sam. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go. Right click, add, new item. I'm going to search for report, REPR to get us there. R2, add, build a project, yes. There's something in it. We want to add a report service, yes. We want to add a sample report, yes.
Look at that.
We'll leave accessibility turned off for now. Click finish. 3, 2, 1, done. Fully featured framework report, soup to nuts, REST service to viewer, fully configured and runnable out
Less
of the
than
gate.
30 seconds. Yeah.
Yep. So let's see. I will go ahead and run this too, so no one calls me a liar. Let's see. HTML5 report viewer. I do remember that. Oh, and this one opens on the other monitor. Just can't pick which one. Okay. So what did I say? HTML5.
You belong on Twitch, Rick. You're a Twitch rock star. Look at you spinning up super fast, like under 30-second demos.
Well, I mean, I couldn't do it without the reporting engineers. They get 99.8% of the credit. Okay, so that was I think my last actual demo. I have two things I'm going to say. We've added to our banned report templates 4 new themes: Kendo Default, Kendo Bootstrap, Office 2019, and Blue Opal. That means that you can seamlessly integrate the theme of your report viewer and the report itself with a larger application theming for sort of a design surface, consistent design. So we've added those. We've added 2 new themes to our WPF report viewer. So again, just more theming options to granularly control the look and feel of your application. And my last announcement, surprise, is for people who were observant may have picked up on this. All the demos that I showed today, excluding the last one with .NET Core, everything was built in .NET 6 Preview 3 using Visual Studio 2019 Preview, and it all ran perfectly out of the gate.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. This is like super bleeding edge because that's the last preview of .NET 6 that we have seen. There we go. Look at that.
Yep.
And preview 4 is cooking, but it's not even out. So we are on the latest.
Yeah, I had to give it a try, and everything. I mean, I knew we were right up there, but sometimes, 1 or 2 APIs, it can mess you up, and everything just worked perfect. So I was happy to be able to do this all in .NET 6.
Indeed, and I'm so happy that I'm not doing the reporting demo. You are, because you're awesome at this, which is why I want your help again. So, folks, tomorrow we have the formal webinar where I tried, but Rick is just the best with reporting, so we'll have Rick back on. So this is awesome, Rick. This is super awesome. Anything else you want to share? If not, I'm going to bring your desktop down.
No, I've gone through all my features. I'm going to post in the chat the link to the what's new.
Please. Oh, I did that as well. I think.
Okay. Well, then I won't do it.
Yep. Yeah, that's right up here. And again, I mean, started in blogs.telerik.com, all of the products with all of the new stuff that's all listed out there. There's a lot to take in this release. It's a big release. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Rick. Thank you so much for jumping
Anytime,
in.
Sam.
Doing awesome
Thanks for
stuff.
having me.
Yeah, let's bring on our next friend here. Mr. Andy Weiland, how are you? You're on mute, sir. Go ahead and hit the unmute button, please. There you go.
How about now?
Yeah, perfect. Rick, we'll let you know. Thank you so much. We shall talk soon tomorrow. All right. Andy, how are you?
Sam. Great, man. How are you?
Not too bad. If you are short on time, let's blame Rick because he had some awesome demos to show. What can you say? But we have a cool 30 minutes here. And how about I borrow the last 5 minutes of your time?
no
So if you want to hang out with me, I want to show off some cool Fiddler things, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Fiddler in the webinar tomorrow. We're maybe kind of splitting the love here. So the things we talk a little bit more on Twitch, we'll cover a little less on webinar, and vice versa. So Andy is our man. Andy, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yep, my name is Andy Weiland, and I'm the sales engineering manager for our DevTools products at Telerik. I live in Austin, Texas, hence the side over here, the Longhorn.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and Andy is just like Rick. You just asked him last minute, can you hop on? Like, yes, you never say no. You're awesome. But Andy also is our man for all things TestStudio. Now, reporting I can get by, I can tinker, but yeah, TestStudio is a whole other beast that I would rather not talk a whole lot since I don't feel as confident. So over to you, Andy. What is TestStudio? Give us the high level first.
TestStudio is really a workshop for test creation and test maintenance that takes advantage of our own proprietary Telerik testing framework, a .NET-based testing framework. With this workshop on top of it, it allows for the non-technical as well as the technical users to kind of meet in the middle to basically create test automation for you. We have a lot of our users are non-technical manual QA testers who are able to create automated tests that can then be utilized in CI/CD pipeline testing.
Yeah, well said. And this is difficult to do for most developers, and this is just getting like the whole like DevOps and QA is just all together with devs. Like we are not separate. Like it's like us and them. We're all in this together. So, okay. So do you want to show us some stuff?
Yeah, sure. I'll bring up the screen here and show you what I got. Got to figure out which of these it's going to go to. This is different, huh?
Yeah, just pick a monitor.
There it goes. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're up. Yep.
Awesome. So I thought I'd start here. One thing to explain, TestStudio does have a little bit of a straddled release compared to the DevTools overall release. So we actually did have our R1 just about a month ago, maybe it's 2 months ago. So we've actually had our R1, and our R2 is going to be in a later July to August kind of time frame. But we actually do have a service pack that should be headed out either end of this week or early next, always bringing out new features in those service packs and so forth. But the things to really kind of focus on, kind of going along with some of the themes you've already heard about, gaining more efficiency and time and performance for our tests, right? Like we've done in some of our other products, as mentioned by Misha with JustMock and Rick with reporting. Also, Rick was mentioning some PDFs, and we've got some PDF validation. But the headless browser execution, I think, is one of the most awesome features that we've come out with in quite a while. And I mean, TestStudio is full of awesome features, but to take a very sophisticated web test that can be maintained without code by a non-technical resource over time, and then be able to run that not only as part of a pipeline for automation, but to run it headlessly. Now you can execute these tests 300% faster than you could before with headless. So really cool advancement that we've added, and just I think a game changer personally when it comes to taking what we've already accomplished in ease of use and then adding it the speed at which you can execute is incredible.
Yeah, and TestStudio is the cool kid apart that does not want to be tied to the bandwagon of every release. That's Telerik and Kendo UI. You have your own thing, and you're doing it well.
Yep. Yeah, so coming up, there's more smart test maintenance, of course, .NET Core 5.0 support for those folks that are migrating applications over to the new.
Nice.
And we do not just web automation, but WPF application testing as well, and even Silverlight. So for those of you that might still be holding on to your Silverlight applications, we can do automation on those as well.
Hey, I spent a couple of years on Silverlight. Nothing wrong. Just just maybe it was ahead of its times.
Yeah.
But so that's a good point. So you mentioned like TestStudio is not just about web stuff. It's all about. Could you do any desktop apps?
Unfortunately, we've limited it to WPF. So really, WPF applications are the main application type we support on desktop. That doesn't mean we can't do and integrate with some of the Win32, alert dialogues and things like that. We still have the ability to work with those. And with PDF, this is actually file-based local PDFs. So we are working with the file system and can open and execute and work with also things like Excel and CSV docs and stuff like that might be data driving our tests. So there's some interoperability there, but really we're primarily focused on the WPF for desktop.
And that is the biggest majority of desktop apps for enterprises. It is still WPF,
Yeah.
and we talk about other things like WinForms is there. The newer kits are coming up, but like WPF is the hardcore majority of most desktop.
Yeah, we have the privilege, I think, working with Telerik. A lot of the customers that I'm running into are already at that point where they know the ecosystem. They say, well, we showed up because we wanted to convert our desktop application to WPF, and then they introduce them to me and they say, hey, here you go for your testing needs, basically. So we have that luxury, I guess.
And you are pretty much on the cutting edge with Blazor stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true as well. Let me jump over actually to TestStudio. This is our dark theme, by the way. We do have a dark and light theme.
Dark themes are everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm a kind of a hit and miss. Like I get it like for demos, but like a lot of times, like when I'm just by myself, I'm still on light theme actually. So choose what works for you.
I actually held off using dark theme because I do so many demos, and I would say it looks a little bit easier to view from a demo purpose standpoint with light theme. But I finally just gave in and I said, for me, I want the darkness. So bring it on. And no complaints yet, but let me know if you have any trouble seeing it.
No, it's perfect.
Cool. So yeah, to your question or mention about Blazor, one of the things that's great about TestStudio, we can work with really any web technologies. But when it comes to our own, we have a great advantage. And we have a lot of people that come to us and say, we have other testing tools or frameworks that struggle with more complex controls. And what we've done is we've created translators that allow TestStudio to work with those dynamic controls, to understand how to automate them, and to actually give you some additional capabilities when you are working with them. So here, as you can see in the settings, there's a full suite of drop downs, drawers, date pickers, grids, all sorts of things here in the Blazor category. Also, as you can see, the Angular translators, the jQuery translators. We don't just work with our own controls too, really anything web. We do have these base translators, so any third-party or custom controls we can automate. It's just that when we come across our own, we can automate even more. We can actually give you some bonus features. So yeah, let me give you an example here. In fact, we'll just search up a Blazor test here. And this is just a little login. It looks like I was putting in an if-else. TestStudio really gives you a lot of tooling here. Things like adding in if-else, while loop, and loop done without code. Adding in actions and verifications, or even just some very common testing tools, like if we wanted to clear the browser cache before an execution takes place, you can add a step like that. You can see this test step already is in my test. And you can expand these test steps and see the settings that they provide. And that really gives you a sense for how, why it's so easy for TestStudio to kind of be a tool for any level user. Because we don't just generate code and hand it over to the developers. We actually keep these tests in a codeless format and really elevate a lot of the settings, things like encryption over here, where you may normally have to do that through code. It's a checkbox for us. Or changing the way the test step behaves, how fast the typing goes, or even data driving this can all be done very quickly and without code. you do have that ability to convert and edit things in code, but we want to leave it up to you. And a lot of our customers come to us saying, we don't want testing code to become more technical debt. So
Right.
that's what we really try to do, is make testing not technical debt. There's still some coding capabilities, coding things that you would do in TestStudio, but we really try to minimize it so that it's just not a burden.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you're opening it up to like an optional thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of the times, like unit tests do become things that you have to update constantly. So it's nice that this is all automated.
For sure. So I've got a bunch of extra steps in here. Let's go ahead and just execute it. I have no idea how what real status I left this in. Now you can see our tests are also cross-browser. So I have all these options. I could run the same test on any of these browsers, including the Chrome Headless. And we'll be adding Chromium Headless as well in the future. We'll bring this over. This is a headful test, so it does launch the browser.
Oh, so 1 second, Rick. Not Rick, Andy. See, you're all so awesome. I just keep using your names interchangeably. So you said this is Chrome, so not Chromium yet.
Oh no, I just executed that one in Edge Chromium.
Oh, you did? Okay. So it is good. Yeah.
And to follow the theme of many of our products, we had 0-day support for Edge Chromium when it came out.
Nice.
You know, we keep up with the browsers. You'll find a lot of other frameworks when it comes to supporting different browsers, either recording or executing, have some struggles with that. And we've been really on top of it. You know, our team puts out releases usually every 6 to 8 weeks, just to make sure we are up to date with the browsers. So it's great stuff. So that executed very quickly. I'm going to actually slow down execution before we speed it up. I'm going to make it even slower by turning on a little known feature here called annotations. It's actually going to use this 400 milliseconds as well in between test steps. And I'm going to execute that again, just here in Chromium, Edge Chromium. And this time you'll see the annotation highlighted. Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
I was going to say it's nice that you can also control the speed. And so the annotations are the things it's doing at every step.
Yes, that red and yellow highlight there, we can really inspect what the test is doing. You know, as you can see there, I had an extra refresh in there. Now you can see it instrumenting the username and password fields. And clicking login. And then at the end, verifying that sign out shows up, which indicates that we've actually succeeded at logging in.
Nice.
So verifications, you'll see that in our tests. There's actions, there's verifications, waits, things that really make the tests more robust to ensure that they don't break. And actually, we've got things in TestStudio to make sure that the elements aren't just depending on a path, right? Our own framework doesn't use X paths. It uses find logic to locate elements. So that means with your responsive design applications, your elements move around with different UI formats and so forth, and settings. Things move around. Well, our tests don't break because of that. Because we use a find logic, you can go find it wherever it may be. And then I know we've got just a short amount of time left. I'm just going to see if we can execute this one headlessly as well, just to see if it can go how much more quickly. And of course, what's great about headless is I can do other things. When you run a headful test, you have to let go and give up the mouse and keyboard controls. But when you run it headlessly, you can do other things. And that's something that really saves time, but also from an execution timing, we see that ran in about 3.5 seconds, when normally when we were running it in the headful format, we were looking at above 12, probably 15 seconds, I'd imagine.
So how does this work exactly? Like it spins up a process, launches it, and then goes through it?
Yeah, it's really awesome the way they've engineered it, because it does actually carry out all the actions like a user. If you've got steps in here, like for example, capture browser, capture screenshot, that kind of thing, even in headless mode, it'll still capture those and save them to file for you. So they've done an incredible thing by taking a powerful codeless web test that I can run headed. And this is great. I mean, some of these tests I've had long before Headless was ever created. So being able to take one of my old tests and just say, run this headless, it's pretty cool. So yeah, it just works in the background, and it works really well, really efficiently.
Very cool. Very cool. So let me ask you this: like, where do you see like the vision and the roadmap of like TestStudio evolving for the rest of the year? Like, are there things that you are super excited about?
Yeah, definitely. We realize, TestStudio is used by a lot of different users. We want to try to make it easier and easier to find some of these features that there's so many in here. It's hard to bring everything to the surface. So we're going to be redesigning some of the workflows, making it more obvious, where suggestions, because TestStudio is really good at suggesting how to fix things when they are broken. So we're going to enhance that and also make things more robust by kind of adding some self-healing capabilities as well. We're really excited about what's coming, later this year and into next year with regards to that.
Cool. Yeah. Very, very cool. All right, Andy. Anything else you want to mention? This is very cool stuff.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll leave you with one other feature we just updated. We've had it forever, but we wanted to improve it, which is our storyboard, kind of an undersung hero, I suppose. So might as well mention it. The storyboard is great to see the image associated with each test step, and even export that to HTML if you want, or you'll see it. You'll really pop up in the failure. So when a test fails, it will bring you that expected state screenshot, and it will show you also your failed state screenshot. So these are kind of some of those features.
This is amazing stuff. Like, how is this undersung? Like, this is super useful to be able to see where it failed and share.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I could probably create a quick failure if you've got another moment.
Sure.
Let's see here. We'll just turn off step 9. And we'll go ahead and execute that. There we go. We'll do this one headed. So while that's executing, we'll see. So a couple things that work here, right? We're looking for that Blazor button to click to basically submit our login credentials. What TestStudio is going to do is it's going to use the find logic to locate it. So that could be the ID combined with the fact that it's a button. Some 2 properties usually, or 3 properties that it uses to locate the element no matter where it lives on the screen. And if it can't find it that way, after the timeout, it's going to kick in and use the image. So we actually have image backups. You can see the image backup here, which if I had left that step turned on and we broke the find logic, it would have used this image. But since I completely turned that step off, it didn't kick in the image backup. But that's something that keeps our test from failing when an identifier changes. So this one did fail, and you can see here where it failed to locate an element. It was looking for it with this combination. We got the images of the expected state, looking for sign out, and the failed state. So this kind of stuff really just helps you see at a glance. We weren't there. We didn't get logged in successfully, right?
Indeed.
Page DOM at the point of failure too, and back on the front page, you've got your whole test log with steps to reproduce the issue. It's all packaged up, and you can easily even just submit this directly into bug tracking, right? So I can click a button, and even as a non-technical user, if I don't even know necessarily what happened, I can click this button and I've just communicated to my dev team a feedback loop with lots of data that says, hey, we have an issue.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Good stuff. Very good stuff, Andy. Thank you. Thank you. Like, I'm so glad like you stepped on to talk about TestStudio, because like I cannot do justice. There's just so many things being built on the fly. Yeah, this is amazing stuff. All right, so Andy, if you don't have anything more, I'll take the last like 7 or 8 or 9, 10 minutes here. And if you don't mind just hanging out with me, Andy, so I get lonely. And I know like Rick is also still in the back room because he's just loves to hang out with us. What can I say? So let me take your desktop down here, Andy. And before I switch to mine, I'm going to try to, well, I don't know if I can completely answer this, but Rocketman2112 is asking a Blazor question, which would, Rocketman, it'll be perfect to ask Ed tomorrow, because Ed and me will be on to do a Twitch stream on all of the Telerik stuff tomorrow morning. But I can just take a stab at answering it. If you do bind a Blazor grid to like a huge amount of records, yes, the virtualization does kick in immediately. We do not try to bind to 100K records and bring your UI down to its knees. We are careful, like when you page, that's when we get to the next one. But the other thing you're asking, like, do you have access to the entire data set for you to do the sorting and the filtering and so on? I don't know exactly what they call it, but there are settings where the sorting works for the entire data set, but it might take a little bit of time. So I don't know exactly how Blazor does it. I remember like for WPF or other grid type things, we can go look at the whole data set, and we will still virtualize. We will still bring the first like 1,000 records or so back if you need us to, but it'll be sorted or filtered based on your criteria where we go look at the whole data set. I just don't know exactly how Blazor does it. Oh, and speaking of that, look at that. Look at the help we have. Lance McCarthy, who's another awesome teammate of ours. He's referring to the docs to go dig deeper. So yeah, there you have it. So I have 8 minutes left. Shall I try doing something? Let me see if I can.
Gonna risk it?
Yeah, why not?
Have you broken anything yet? Let me ask you.
Oh, I have broken plenty of things, even from this morning.
Okay.
So we will actually have Eve, our teammate, with us tomorrow morning. So maybe we start with Fiddler. But let me see if I can quickly share my screen. There you go. So let me go ahead and hide this. Okay, 8 minutes. I'm going to try doing a little bit of justice, maybe by talking about just the latest thing that we are excited about with Fiddler, which, again, I mean, we go through these webinars and these releases, and everyone, and then we just do like a fleeting mention of Fiddler, and folks are like, but that's the thing we use the most. So yes, we are going to take a little bit more time to talk about Fiddler tomorrow, but this is exciting. And in case you aren't tuned into all that's going on, like Fiddler user base is like just such an enormous number of developers, a lot of whom, like me, like we grew up with Fiddler. Like that's kind of how we saw the network stack under our applications. That's kind of how we figured everything out long before like there was DevTools and other things. But if you have not paid attention, if you have been using Fiddler on Windows, and by all means, go ahead and keep doing so. Nothing's being moved. But if you haven't paid attention, this is now a big family of products. It's not just Fiddler on desktop. But take a look at this. I might quickly post a link here so you can go. Oh, hey, look at that. Yeah, Eve is also lurking. Hey, Eve. Hey, Eve. I'm not going to try to highlight messages while I am speaking, so I can focus in the last 7 minutes trying to do a little bit of justice here. So Fiddler is a big family of love now. So Fiddler Classic, this is what you know and love on Windows. Keep on using it. It's going to be fine. But we have also heard a lot of demand from folks like me who are on Mac most of the time now. Can we get it to work on Mac and Linux? And the answer is yes, because we have redone Fiddler from scratch. In fact, it's written in Angular and a few other technologies. So Fiddler Everywhere is your modern Fiddler, which is feature parity. You can do all of the things that you do in Fiddler Classic today, just on a Mac, just on Linux, and it's clean, looks and feels, and works every way a native app should be doing so. And we have a few other things. We have Fiddler Core, which is essentially the Fiddler engine is now exposed to you as a .NET standard library. So you can embed that in your dashboard or any other type of app where you want your sales or support or any other type of like field engineers be able to look at the network stack. You can embed Fiddler Core inside of your apps. But then there's also Fiddler Cap, which is a lightweight desktop version. So for the non-technical users, maybe you want to just let them see what's going on and share that with you. That has been very popular, and very recently we have also, oh, and by the way, this whole Fiddler journey thing, the whole website and the refresh and the whole messaging, this is a lot of the effort that went in from Ivana and Cindy, who are in the chat room, and Eve and the whole team. So I love the Fiddler look and feel now. It's just so modern and nice. We have also done something called Fiddler Jam, which is actually a web-based thing we do just so your users do not have to install anything. It is just a Chrome extension that lets you do exactly what it's supposed to, be able to look through some network and tell you quickly what went wrong, and then you get to share that with your support teams, right? So if you have web apps that you have deployed and your end users are non-technical, and they are stuck or they are complaining about something that they do not know how to quickly report, here's your quick and easy way to figure out what is going on. It's just a quick grab of the networks tab. And we are careful with security. We are careful with grabbing only the stuff that's in that browser tab and not everything under the sun on your machine. And you're able to securely share that with your support teams, and then from then on, an engineer could bring it up in full-scale Fiddler and take a look at it. So a lot of cool things happening. Now, let me try doing this, and keep in mind, I might go offline because, no, I'm going to be fine, hopefully. But here is Fiddler everywhere. But when it launches, what it's doing actually is it's signing me in, but this is actually changing a little bit of my network stack. So I'm doing this while I'm streaming. So I should be fine, right? Yes, I am fine. So what it did behind the scenes was it actually became a network proxy. So all of a sudden, all of my network connection is going through Fiddler. And this is the core power of it. I'm going to be running out of time here, so I can't do it now. Maybe I can show it to you tomorrow. But the core feature of this, and then, by the way, you have a nice story here. You can run through some in-app tutorials right here. The docs and the blogs, everything is right here. Everything is fresh, and it looks beautiful. All of your sessions are here. Your requests are here. And Fiddler is not just about looking under the network stack. It's all of the other things it does, like looking into HTTPS traffic, encrypting and decrypting stuff, and then autoresponder. So you can envision you creating an API on localhost and then requesting the thing and then recording it and then letting your team have access to it, because then it's just Fiddler sending the responses back, not your local service. And you can open up a port on your firewall and just be able to service requests. And it's just such a strong workflow. So this is Fiddler, and by default right now it's trying to capture everything, which I can turn on and off. And I also have a composer, which is, again, if you're building APIs, the params that go in, the body, the raw, you can see everything. It is very kind of powerful. And if I bring up like a mobile simulator now, any traffic that goes through my tablets or my phones or my desktop apps, I can capture all of it, because Fiddler is a network proxy. It's just very low level. It's not just sitting on top of your browser. So that's Fiddler everywhere. Take a look at that. Let me close that out and really quickly show you Fiddler Gem, which is this new little extension. You can get it from the Chrome store. It's just sitting out there. So I'm going to do the unthinkable here and go to something like CNN or any other, like a high traffic, highly popular site. And you realize like what a modern website does to bring you the stuff. It's like literally hundreds of requests that bring you stuff. But, just for the heck of it, we're going to go to CNN and say, Fiddler Jam, come on up and go ahead and capture again. So it's going to say, hey, should I start capturing? You say yes, and it's going to say which tab. Now, notice, by the way, by default, it started out capturing this tab. And let me go ahead and do a refresh, and you will see all the requests that CNN makes to bring you that site. And you see the little blinking dot. It says, hey, I'm still capturing it. When you're done, you can say stop. Right? And it's like 300 plus sessions and all of that stuff. When you're done, you can password protect this thing, or you can get a link. And it's actually uploading that thing really quick. You copy that link and you send it off to your support team. That's it, right? And if I can paste, Command V, there you go. So jam fiddler.session, and there's a grid to it. That's it. This is Fiddler right there for you on the web. Your support team can look at each request and take a look at the request and the response, and then they can open it up. They can add it to a workspace. Fiddler is now really good at working with teams and sharing requests and responses and putting them all in a workspace. And then you can just one click of a button open Fiddler. Your engineers can take a look at this very in-depth and take a look at exactly what went on with CNN and why it's creating 100+ requests to pull up a single site. No, I'm just kidding. But this is exciting. This is very exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's great to be able to collaborate too across, multiple people, multiple channels, and see all that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And we are at time here. I don't want to keep all of you folks for too long, but hang on a second here. I'm going to stop sharing and bring this little browser window back so I can face all of you and not have to look down. Rick is still on. Rick, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring you back on. Yeah, so we can all collectively be here. Whew, that was like a lot of quick talking from all three of us, but this is fun stuff. Misha had to drop off because he's late in Bulgaria time, close to 10 p.m. now. But Andy, Rick, thank you so very much for tuning in and jumping in and doing some really cool demos.
Anytime.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Yeah, and all of our folks here, let's see, that's Eve. She's the one who runs DevRel for all things Fiddler. She and Ivana and Sarah have been very instrumental in getting the Fiddler story right for all of you and just making all of you aware that there is so much more to Fiddler. And yeah, thanks, Lance, for dropping in and helping out, and everybody else in the chat room. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us. This was just a quick look at all the things we did for R2. Oh, and yeah, Curious Drive is here. Hey. Hello, my friend. Performance improvements too. Very true, very true. Do your performance tuning with Fiddler. It tells you exactly which requests are taking more than average time, and you can tune in. Yeah, and don't hesitate to contact support. Absolutely, that's what we are here for, trying to make you more successful. Our support teams are amazing, which includes Lance and Rick and Andy. So we really care about your experiences. So here was a quick look at all of the productivity things in R2. Come back and join us tomorrow. We have a Telerik stream where Ed and me will talk about all things Telerik. Then we have the productivity webinar. And then I think tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be Angular React with Alyssa and TJ. So a lot of love we are sharing. Hopefully you see it. And hopefully you, yeah, I'm out of words. I've been speaking for too long.
Great job, Sam.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Andy. And thank you, chat room. Yeah, we shall see you on the next stream. Stay safe, stay productive, and be happy. All right. Bye now, folks.
Bye-bye.